let's first like introduce the topic. So the very first topic is being that better person. So the audience remembers a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about being the greater person. The greater person, as in that's something internal. I just want to be great and really great for myself. That's really what it is. And people will obviously see that, and there are behaviors that I could behave that are just great behaviors. Then there's the concept of being that better person, and that better person is just how do I handle situations and circumstances that come my way, which at the last episode we spoke about God doesn't give you what you can't handle. And so with all that being said, this is like this big circle, and it brings me to the story of how you and I met. And we have a mutual friend. I believe it's Dane, right? Is that
Yep.
is that who it is? Yeah. So
Yep.
Dane, I meet him on a lunch club meeting. We get to talking, this, that, and the other. He hears about my One Up program, and he looks at me. He goes, "Your program is called One Up." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I have a friend, and I need you to meet him." He didn't tell me anything about it. You and I, we hook up, we start talking, and turns out that you and I both have a program, One Up. And I just remember in my head, I'm like, this jerk stole my name. It's like I thought I had the best name, like what is this? And right then and there, it was this like, is he my competition?
Mm,
Like who is he, right? And we're going to talk about it in this show, like what is competition versus collaboration.
yeah.
You and I had an amazing, I don't even remember how long our conversation
It was
was.
like almost 2 hours.
I think it was like 2 hours or something. And it was like, we spoke about abundance mindset. We spoke about the scarcity, which is all the discussion that we're going to have now. And I would just want to bring it back to the audience to really experience that 2 hour conversation with somebody who shares the same name to your high ticket program. You know what I mean? This is like, I saw that program starting at $3,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a high ticket program. And so like, how would I relate to that? And how do you, and I think the audience just has to hear just a glimmer of that discussion, because we all face with this notion of competition, or this notion of, what are other people doing? So this
Yeah.
is a great example of what that actually means, being that better person. And here it is. You and I are buddies at this point. We're talking. We're here. Presenting in front of everybody. And I mean, I literally stopped off in the middle of a trip to just have this conversation with you. That's how important you are, and that's how important the discussion is. But the point really is like, how do we embrace one another? How do we celebrate one another, really? And it really brings that camaraderie that there is in a sports game.
Hmm.
Baseball will not be baseball if you don't have two teams. Soccer, same thing. Like you need that, let's call it competition or whatever you want to call it, in a game sense, that you shake hands, you play the game, and let the best player win, in a sense. And
Hmm.
it's that fun component to it. And like I don't see you as a competition. I don't see you as an enemy. I don't see you as a negative. Like I see you as like making this whole thing just fun and exciting. And I mean, we do two very different things, even
Yeah.
though we kind of have overlaps and we
Hmm.
collaborate here and there. But I think that's such an important message. So to that notion, let's start off with the abundance mindset. Like share with the group in like a couple of minutes. Well, just to give them that flavor, to give them that taste.
Yeah. The way so to speak to your point, right? And we're talking about sports. I think sports is a great analogy to understand the difference between greatness and being better. You know, greatness is really based on individual talent, skill set, and effort,
Right.
right? And so there are people who play certain sports who are great at what they
Right.
do. Now, better. These players not only are better individually, but they make everyone around them better.
Mm,
And it's very clearly obvious to you if you watch enough sports. And those who don't, it's okay. But if you watch enough sports, you can tell who's great but doesn't make their team better,
right.
and who's solid or good or however else you would describe them and makes their team better. It's
Mm,
very, very different.
love that.
And You can choose to be great, but your impact, your overall global impact will depend on your ability to make other people better.
Sure.
And when we talk about the abundance mindset, I feel like this is also associated with the growth mindset.
Right.
We think about what our hearts, our souls yearn for. Our soul wants to live and be free. And
Mm.
it feels and it senses possibilities that are endless. Doesn't feel restricted, you know? And
Yeah.
that's a part of abundance. I actually have a list here that kind of puts, what's the growth mindset or the abundance mindset? Well, first one is there's focus on learning.
Mm.
It's about understanding what you're learning at each phase of your life and what is it telling about yourself. Next part is doing the work, putting in effort is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
That is what's creating lifetime value, within ourselves and with other people. Performance is done through effort. The more you put in, the more you get out. And this is not about hustle culture or grinding or anything like that. It's just about understanding that it's all about your attitude and your effort. These are the two things that
Mm.
you can always control in your life. In a world that feels like it's filled with chaos and uncertainty, the two things you have control over are your attitude and your effort. And that's
Yeah.
what creates high performance. Effort is a good thing. The fact that you are willing to try and put in your best effort is a good thing, no matter what the outcome is.
Sure.
And you make the most of what you perceive are weaknesses or mistakes. You don't try to
Mm.
hide them. They just are a part of who you are, and you do your best to leverage them just as much you would leverage your strengths or the
Mm.
great things about you. You know, and I think ultimately, what the abundance mindset is, it creates another level of awareness that I point out as self-awareness. You're
Nice.
not
Yeah.
just aware of what's happening around you or just what you're doing and how you can do better. That leads to greatness for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But self-awareness is how you show up and how it impacts the people, the places, and the experiences around you.
Mm.
That
Love that.
when you think about that, now you're taking that level of thoughtfulness. Now you're bringing it into a bigger scale, and you can then start to see how you get to influence and have an impact on the people, places,
Sure.
and things in your life. For me, that really does sum up abundance, because it's not about outcome.
Right.
It's about being present
Mm-hmm.
in the possibility of whatever outcome can be created from it.